Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Inner Conquest, the world's greatest modern metaphysics channel. I'm your host, Jacob Edens, and today we are going to be discussing prediction to projection. So what you do when you understand metaphysics is you're looking for what you could call unseen correlation between who you are and your reality in terms of its reflection, right? That's why you look at things like the mirror principle. Manifestation is defined as turning something unseen to seen. Oh, it just manifested in front of my eyes. I was thinking about that all day, and now here it is, right? So what happens is, right, because we're in a realm, and you always want to start with base fundamental truth, right? You exist outside of this place. You're in a body, in a game, running life, right? It's not just a game, right? But it has many game elements for certain. And the context of the environment within which you find yourself is one of you don't remember anything before you're born. And then you also are experiencing what you could consider a slight time delay between manifestation, right? So if we look at tiers of realities, if you go to a lucid dream reality where you're lucid and you can feel your hands and you're like, oh my goodness, I can fly, right? You're in a reality. You're in a lucid dream. If you've ever had a lucid dream where you can command, control the dream, you're in a reality, right? You're in a dimensional space that is under your control. So when you come to this reality, you're in a dimensional space that when you want the apple in your hand, it doesn't immediately happen, but it is heard when you want the apple in your hand, right? So the idea is that if you don't have your memory when you come in here and then you have that time delay, what happens is it puts you into a spin cycle where you start to worship things outside of you as more powerful than you, right? It's a crazy experience, okay? So when you're in this place, you're in this reality and you start going, well, if I just get a good job, I'll be able to do this. Or if I get enough money, I'll be able to do this. Or if I get the right partner, I'll be able to do this. So you start placing your power on these shelves outside of you. And then because your power is separate from you, you disempower yourself. Well, if I only had this, I could do this, right? But what gets you out of that is understanding metaphysics and that everything is a byproduct of a conscious state. So in the same way that somebody is in a poverty state chronically, you could give them money, they're going to lose the money, and then they're going to go back to that state, right? Even when they have the money, they're going to feel like they're going to lose it. Why is that? It's because an emotional, conscious state, etheric, auric field around them is calibrated and programmed to a frequency of scarcity and lack that follows you around like a cloud, right? So understanding that conscious state dynamic is very important because you can't escape yourself. You always take yourself with you wherever you go, right? So in my perspective, when you play a game, you want to have the character be the badass portion of the game, because if you have a character right and then you have like a bunch of real estate and the character's thing is like his real estate's really good, that's cool, but if you take away the real estate, now the character has to keep rebuilding the real estate, right? But if you build a character that has a conscious state that magnetizes wealth, no matter what the character's doing, the character is the common denominator in all meetups with people, places, circumstances, and events, right? And so when you start to think through metaphysics, you go, well, damn, if I could get my conscious state to be really perfected, because that's what, essentially outputs my vibrational magnetic field, then I could engineer that internally and make it super to my liking, right? Because I can think any thought I want, I can entertain any emotion I want, I can have any internal perspective that I want. So if I can get all of those cards stacked in my favor in terms of my conscious state being super dominant and super badass, I'm the common denominator in everything that I link up and sync up with through what you could call law of attraction, law of assumption, laws of reversibility, whatever metaphysical laws you want to employ or focus on. You're involved in every aspect of your life. So if you can make yourself, right? And oftentimes people hear that and they think myself, but they think of themselves as the body in the human world who's limited. No, you're a soul inside the body. So you put your identification as the soul in the body, which is unlimited in a limited body. It gives you the ability to think and become someone who can overcome any circumstance, right? Because you can't have unlimited expression of freedom with any limitations on it. And when you understand what you are as a soul, you're a thinker and a focuser. Now you can see something, immediately think and focus as if it is the way you want it to in that internal realm, right? Understanding that there's a slight time reverberative time delay. So that's why things like law of assumption and faith are so important. It's because holding that affix consciousness state whilst being independent of the reflection as it's computing and calibrating to whatever your projection is, right? So holding that projection is really what puts you at the center of power, right? Because if you go into reality and you're just looking at all of these different things and you're like, this is like this is like this is like this, and you just accept it, this is permanent, this is fixed, I'll never get out of this, da-da-da-da-da, right? What you're doing is you're building that internal world to be dependent on external things. So when you do that, you essentially have to have a condition met. I can't do this unless I have enough money. Well, if you have a mental fourth dimensional thought process that edifies that and you don't contradict it at all, then your reality will physicalize around that assumption. So what will happen is because you don't have your fucking memory, is you come into this place and you're like, this has always been fixed. This is just how it is. Everybody I know is always this, right? And you go into that collective assumption that re-edifies it with you and everybody else involved in participating in, believing in, or accepting that as the reality, right? When in actuality, that reality is created and sustained through individuals' belief in it, right? Which a belief is a thought that you think repeatedly without contradictory energy, right? You play 100 games of basketball and you wax everybody. You're like, I'm great at basketball, right? So what happens is you get these belief structures that work against you and go in tandem with opposition. So when you have something that you want, but then you have a belief system that contradicts it, you have limited your ability to place your consciousness in the state of what you could call fulfillment, right? So it's like, I want a hot girlfriend, but I look like shit. It's like, see, like they're two different things that headbutt each other, right? I want a lot of money, but money's hard to make. Boom, you have this contradiction. So what you want to do is you want to take that prediction, right? Your expectation of failure, that predilection, and you want to decommission that, right? So you want to let that side be decharged and you want to re-energize the side that you want exclusively. That's called being single-minded, right? So when you understand that you're the source of your reality, right? People say you're the source because if you take your soul out of your body, how much life force and impact does your body have on this world? It has zero impact, effectiveness, and or essence to it. So you are the source of life for your body, right? You're also the source of life for your environment, right? If you're not in your room doesn't get cleaned up and doesn't look a certain way. It just decays, right? So you have life principle emanating from you, right? That's why all the phones and shit want you to look at it all day because you have life force energy power. That's your focus, right? You give life to shit just because you are life, not because you learn how to do it. It's just who you are, right? You're a living being. You're not a fucking robot. So what happens is when you have things outside of you that affix your attention, they come at you like predatory parasitical entities, right? This debt thing keeps nipping at you, right? What that thing does in essence is it's trying to get your energy, okay? So once you understand that when you hold a frequency of debt-free and overabundance, that's what gets reflected. But what happens is if you don't understand that process of your internal, what Neville Goddard would call internal man, or you could call your internal woman, which is actually your soul, right? Your eternal body, your imaginative capacity to create reality. You don't understand that that is who you are in a body that's kind of like an Iron Man suit, right? These are basic gameplay fundamentals that, if misunderstood, can set you up for a lifetime of failure. So once you understand these basic core concepts, now you can understand, oh shit, dog, I'm in a reality that has a template put on top of it that is meant to slow things down, meant to make it feel like nothing's working, meant to show me the opposite, because this place by design is essentially meant to show you a version of yourself that is the opposite of what you are in what you would consider like a higher dimension, right? Which you could also put in tandem with a lucid dream. So you have a lucid dream, you have an apple, boom, you got the apple. Here you want the apple, you have the apple, but there's a rigmarole, right? Like, oh shit, I forgot about the apple and I walk down, oh, there's a fucking apple, oh, climb the ladder, right? So there's dynamics to this place that once you understand, you can overcome, but it only is able to be overcome by understanding the truth of who you are, right? And the truth is that you're an eternal soul in a body, living in what you could call a third dimensional key down experience, which is a lower reverberative version of real reality, okay? So once you understand that, it's like, if you're playing a game where you're playing a survival game, now you can enjoy the game like the survival game is meant to be enjoyed. Like, it's fun to go collect all the shit. It's fun to build up your house. It's fun to build up your guy, right? Like, that's how you start to look at life, as like a fun game that you're playing, instead of this is all there is. I don't know what happens when I die. I have no power over my life. That's hell. So you got to get out of hell, right? Because if you're in a game and you think it's hell, you will create hell through the will of your soul. So you have to understand who you are, the contextual reality within where you find yourself. You need to understand that you're not your body, you're in your body, and that when you die, it's all good. You actually go to a much more empowered version of yourself. This is a temporal experience which is designed to provide massive contrast to the actuality of who you are as a soul. So in that regard, you can appreciate it in the same way that you appreciate training with a weight vest. Think about how fucking strong you're going to be after you do 100 pull-ups with a weight vest on, and then you go just do normal pull-ups. You're going to be a freak, right? So like, if you are a creator being and you have creative faculties and you have the ability to create reality, if you go to the hardest fucking place ever to create reality and you still fucking dominate it and you still get what you want and you still build a badass life that's like pretty sick, dude, you go and you take the training wheels off, you're beast mode, right? So you have to understand the purpose of this place, and it's not to suffer. The suffering is only due to not understanding the truth of who you are. And once you have that truth, now you can start to realize, right, that you are the creator. So the name of this video is Predicament to Projection, because when you're in the predicament, everything outside of you has power over you, okay? Once you understand that you're the source of your reality and that you're in a contextual type of templated game that has certain parameters, such as the little time delay, such as the forgetfulness when you come in, such as whatever, right? But you understand that you're the player in the body in the game, and that even if everything exploded in a nuclear bomb, you're going to be just fine. Now you can play the game with more zeal. You can take more risks because you understand that you are ultimately safe and always in control, right? And that essence and that spirit can move through you in this dimension, which allows you to become a super fucking powerful character in the game. Because if you understand that your consciousness creates your reality around you, and that consciousness is 100% under your control, you lose basically all of the enslavement and control structures that you created through what you could call secondary cause, right? Oh, I can't do this because of this. Well, that substrata structure of reality, I can't do this because of this, is a line of energetic code that your awareness and your consciousness has accepted to be true. So in the mirrored reality, it has to be shown back to you, right? But that is caused in that secondary effect realm through your internal acceptance of that situation because of who you are. That you're a super powerful thing, right? You focus and you create. You focus, you create more of something. You think, you become that thing, right? That's who you are. You're a creator being, and you're in a keyed down reality. So a lot of times you don't discipline that mind, and you think as if something's working against you, and then you forget about it, and then it works against you. You go, see, I knew it, but you created that through your assumptive practices. So understanding your assumptions, your thoughts, your emotions, etc., and also understanding that you exist beyond all those things and can reorchestrate and change them. That's what detachment is, right? Like if you go to a piano and you're like, I'm a really good piano player on this half of the thing, but I can never play, like, just say you're good at playing the piano. Go super general with everything until everything is generally the way you want it, and then you go super hyper specific. If you can just have that discipline and understand a little bit of the time delay and the faith and the perseverance and how to orchestrate your energy independent of external circumstances, you're playing the game at an extremely high level, and you're also getting massive amounts of enjoyment from it because now you actually have authorship over how the reality unfolds. So I know you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave comments with future videos you'd like made. Additionally, the link tree has all of my coaching offerings as well. I've got 2 protocols, Modern Metaphysics, which is the basic protocol, Spartan 1 Human Optimization, if you want to get your physical body really legit, get your mind fucking optimized as shit, because in this reality, you only get one body, so having that body be is something that makes this reality much, much more enjoyable. And then I've got one-off coaching as well. If you want to do like an hour or 30-minute call or an email or something small, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So more important than any of that, go conquer, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.